Good evening. I'm Pramila Jayapal, and I'm proud to represent Washington's 7th Congressional District in the U.S. House of Representatives. It is truly a joy to speak to all of you at the Refugee Women's Alliance this evening, as we honor all the critical, life-changing work you do. I know that this may not be the kind of gala that you had intended or hoped for, but I find that in trying times like these, it is more important than ever to pause, recognize, and celebrate the wins we have had, large and small, in our work towards justice. And, as all of you know all too well, strength emerges in times of crisis. Now, first, I just want to start by saying thank you. I have known and worked with REWA from almost your origins. As the founder myself and executive director for 12 years of the organization called One America, REWA was such an important partner in all of our state fights for immigrant justice, and for that I am so grateful. You know better than anyone else how hard the COVID-19 crisis has hit our immigrant, refugee, and communities of color, whether they are essential workers risking their health and well-being on the front lines to keep the rest of us safe, whether they've lost their jobs and are struggling to find work and afford to put food on the table, or sadly, whether they've gotten sick themselves as we tragically approach 200,000 lives lost in this country. Your organization has been there, welcoming all, while at the ready to help, support, and be a place of refuge during this dark time. You know exactly how important it is that outreach and relief in a time of crisis must reach these hard-hit communities where they are. Your work is comprehensive and necessary to ensure that information is provided in multiple languages, as well as to engage in important issues like census outreach, job workshops, and the need for laptops and Wi-Fi connectivity as children move to virtual learning. But more than the resources themselves, it's the way in which you deliver them, with kindness and care and passion and inclusiveness. We are going to need more of that as we continue to weather our many crises, move forward into this upcoming election, and far, far into the future. We are so fortunate to have REWA leading the way. Immigrant justice has been my life's work, both through my 2 decades of work as an immigrant advocacy leader and organizer at One America and elsewhere, but also as a proud immigrant myself, someone who came to the United States by myself at the age of 16 with nothing in my pockets, and now has the deepest honor of serving as one of just 14 naturalized citizens in the United States Congress and one of only 79 women of color to ever serve in Congress out of the more than 11,000 people who have served in Congress in the history of our country. I know how challenging these times have been for all of us as immigrants, women of color, progressives, organizers for justice, when this administration's entire agenda is firmly rooted in cruelty, xenophobia, racism, police brutality, and white supremacy, all in the midst of a public health, economic, and climate crisis, the likes of which we have not seen in our lifetimes. But this crisis has made plain a message that we have been trying to send for decades, that the work of immigrants is essential. We cannot call workers essential, but treat them as expendable. That too often invisible work is now clear. It's now right in front of us for everyone to see as undocumented farm workers who live in fear of deportation pick the food that goes on our tables and in our food banks. DACA recipients and immigrants of all citizenship statuses help to fight the spread of COVID-19 in our hospitals, care for our children and our elders, run businesses that are finding ways to keep their workers employed, and so much more. Everyone, no matter their politics, is now seeing how our fates are truly interconnected. That is why I am so hopeful for a brighter, more inclusive future. I am hopeful because of groups like yours, and because we know that the immigrant and refugee story is one of remarkable resilience and unshakable faith that makes immigrants put one foot in front of the other and push boulders up mountains toward a better future. We know that as immigrants, we get the job done. So thank you for all you continue to do, for all the fights you continue to take on, and know that I will be right there alongside you every step of the way.